Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything. How easy is that? There's a lot of things we could be anxious about in our world today. But have you ever noticed the Bible said don't worry about anything, it won't stand up. It won't add a hair to your head. Or there's another verse that says it won't increase your stature. And most of the things that we worry about don't come to pass anyway. So I think that's why we shouldn't use up a lot of extra energy on that kind of stuff. Back to the scripture. The peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Jesus Christ. Sound familiar? Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if there's anything excellent or praiseworthy, think about those things. Whatever you've learned or received or heard from me or seen from me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you. Put these things into practice, and you'll have peace. How do you cultivate inner peace? Putting God's principles into practice. What kind of things rob us of peace? I call things joy robbers. There are things that come up in our life, or sometimes humans, that rob us from our joy. You see it a lot with internet, Facebook, community posts. I can't remember what, Uncensored Delano. Somebody said something recently. Oh, I saw it on Uncensored Delano, and I thought, I quit watching that a long time ago. I only look for the grandchildren on Facebook. That's my little box. Because people argue, and it's ridiculous. And they do it anonymously, and it's hurtful. It is just like the junior high kids bullying each other with it, I think, sometimes. All kinds of things can rob our peace. A driver who cuts in front of us. Just little things, if you think about it, that have nothing to do in the grand scope of eternity. My 4 teenagers grew up with me saying that, especially after a car accident. This terrible thing happened. I said, okay, let's pause for a minute. In the grand scope of eternity, does it really matter? I see that nod. Very similar to Buddhist attitude. They mirror each other there in a lot of places. We take on stress, anxiety, take offense when somebody says something that offended me. What a lot of extra energy that is worthless and doesn't produce anything joyful, godlike, or Christ-like. Once we just delve into that, we are actually doing the opposite of what God called us to do. When he tells us to rest in his peace and joy and to all those gifts that he freely gives us, we're almost, giving them the raspberries when we decide, let's just absorb ourselves and use up all this time and energy in being offended or anxious or worried, because we have Christ on our side, who will never leave us nor forsake us. There's no positive effect at all when we put all that energy and self-destruction in. It eats away at you, it eats away at your health, much like unforgiveness will. I've heard it said that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting it to harm the other person. It's really you. They might maybe not have any idea that they offended you, or that they should have come to you to ask forgiveness or apologize. And maybe they do know that, and they decide not to. That's not your deal either. God told us over 900 times in the Bible to fear not. How do we do that? It's by receiving inner peace a lot of times. He gave us peace and love that annihilates the fear. I'm going to quote rapid fire some of our secret weapons. Isaiah 26:3. I didn't write it down, but I think I'm right. Says, you, Lord, give perfect peace to those who set their purpose firm and put their trust in you. If you want to memorize one, that's a good one. He will give you perfect peace. Call upon him, pray for it, ask for it. It's yours already. In order to have peace, we must know the author of peace, Jesus. 1 Corinthians 14:33 calls Jesus the author of peace. Hebrews 13:20 calls him the God of peace. His name is peace. Philippians, I won't tell you all the sightings because unless you're writing them down, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'll leave them next week. Philippians 4:19 says that the God of peace will be with you. The God of peace will be with you always in Thessalonians. The Lord of peace may give you peace. Peace always in every way. Colossians 3:15. This one's good. Measure your life by the rule of peace. That word measure in Greek, here back to the Greek lesson, is like umpire. Look at your life like an umpire. How are you doing in keeping your peace and receiving your peace from God? In God's kingdom, it isn't the presence of something, it's the absence. Reverse that. The presence of war is the absence of peace in the world. In God's kingdom, it's the presence of something. It is presence in you of peace that you bring to the world, that transforms and changes the world. A lot of the New Testament was written by Paul. The scripture that I read in Philippians, where he's saying, rejoice in the Lord always, and talking about inner peace, he happens to be in prison. That doesn't sound normal. He's got some supernatural peace that he's tapped into. So the path to peace, the Bible tells us, is prayer and asking for it and receiving it. That's my tools for you today. Also I have a confession to make. I accidentally stole this when I took my pictures last week. Oh boy. I was going to put that in the announcements. Another thing maybe I'll leave with you for next week. I became aware of a new book that's out, maybe not so new, but it's new to me. Rob Morgan wrote 100 Bible verses that you should know. And it's a little devotional with 100 verses that are easy to read and understand with his description. And I thought, gee, I've got to get that book. So I thought I'd mention it today since I just came across that this week. But I'll put that information out for next week too. Thanks for listening. May you have peace today and every day that stays with you and sticks on you like glue.